What's up, everybody? Brian Mann here, Hands-On Auto Training. This is the end of day, January 4th, 2022. Almost said 21. Guys, it's a new year, and I finally got my haircut, right? New year, new haircut. I don't know about you guys, but, you know, my neck of the woods, it's getting kind of hard to get a haircut with all the COVID and everything else. But anyways, hopefully things get better again. I hope everybody's doing good. Guys, I have a tip that I'm going to share with you that really the first time I got my tail handed to me by this problem, I'm not joking, I wasted at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or more monkeying around with the vehicle. But anyways, I'll share that in a little bit. Premium members, we have our membership meeting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard this Thursday. So this Thursday evening, 9 p.m., we have our membership meeting. Bring your questions. Today started out with a 2002 Chevy Camaro. We're going old school here. I did use SPS2 and my MDI2, and it programmed up no problem. The big issue we have here is this computer is replaced for a P0620. The vehicle was overcharging. Now it has it had two alternators put onto it. I don't know if either are good, but here's the thing. Now this should be a very simple system. This is an old school car. It's a single control wire alternator. We have the big fat battery cable. The big fat red cable is basically our charging cable. This handles the current from the alternator to charge the battery up. And then also we have a little tiny red cable. Here's a schematic. This is from AllData right here. I'm using AllData repair schematic here. I want you to see something, and this is where I'm kind of confused actually now that I'm making this video and talking about it. All the service information that I've seen was saying that the PCM puts 5 volts on the little wire. This is our little wire right here. It will put 5 volts to that. When it's commanded on, to generator L terminals being commanded on, you'll see 5 volts. When it doesn't want any charging voltage out of the alternator, it'll turn off the alternator by basically grounding that to low. Now with this unplugged, all the testing I saw said unplug it and test the voltage on that wire, which I don't like testing things unplugged. You guys know that. The way to test stuff is plugged in and loaded. With it unplugged, I command it with the scan tool, and you can see here it goes up to 5 volts and turn it off, it goes low. Now when we plug this into the back of the alternator, this is at 2 volts all the time. It's a fuzzy 2 volts too. It doesn't look good. Now I did voltage drop test our ground, and our grounds from actually at the battery to the case of the alternator and also to the block. That tested good. I voltage drop tested the battery wire, the big fat cable wire going between here and here, with this thing at like full tilt, charging about 14.5 volts. You know, on a lot of newer vehicles, 14.5 volts isn't really, you know, that's normal. 14, 15 volts you'll see sometimes, but on these older ones, you know, 13, 13.5, I mean 13.2, 13.5 is usually what I saw, 13.6 maybe. But this thing's about 14.5, 14.6, 14.7, and it'll slowly creep up. Now, the one odd thing, like I said, is this red wire here. I did back probe the PCM to make sure I had the same exact voltage back probed into the PCM right here that I had over here, and that matched all the time. So I think this has a bad alternator, even though we have a new one right out of the box and put it on, and it didn't fix it. We have the same result with the engine computer too, which leads me to think, well, it's got to be a wire. I spent a lot of time today voltage drop testing on this vehicle. I didn't find anything. So I'm going to let you guys know when the shop calls me back, and we'll see what they've come up with there. Up next, we had a 2012 Dodge Journey. It had a replacement body control module. Now, there's not a lot to do as far as programming here, but I got called out to the shop to program it and check out what was going on here. And I got verified the updates in there, made sure all the configuration is right, really easy to do. Now, I got to tell you, a long time ago, I think it had to be at least 5 years ago or so, I did a body control module on a Chrysler product. I think it was a Dodge Ram. It was a body control module. This was probably a 12 or 13 Ram. And it also replaced the radio frequency hub or the WCM. I don't know which one it is on that one. With those components replaced, and it's just a BCM replaced, the vehicle configures itself when you turn the key on, okay? And it configures itself to, I believe, what the calibration or configuration is in the cluster. I've been told, and you know, I've read a lot of stuff saying the cluster holds some information and it configures when you turn the key on. Boom, you're done. Now, what's interesting here is the remote start didn't work. when I hit the remote start button, it doesn't work. You have to go out and take this thing for a spin around the block. I think you have to go over like 12 miles an hour for a certain amount of time. I don't think very long, maybe 12 seconds or 20 seconds or something. And then you get back to the shop and the remote start will work. The first time this happened to me, I'm not joking, I spent at least an hour and a half. I think one of my old workers was with me, and we spent a lot of time monkeying around, checking configuration, reprogramming keys, doing all kinds of stuff. Does this vehicle even have remote start? And just messing around. So that's a tip for you. Take those things for a ride and then try out the remote start. It'll work like a champ every time. And the last job of the day was a fuel pump control module on its 2010 GMC Sierra. Right next door to this thing was a good old-fashioned Chrysler Pentastar with a 3.6 whooped on cam. Check that out. But anyways, back to this 2010 Sierra. Unfortunately, the fuel pump control module did not take care of the issue. We have a voltage drop on the main power circuit for the fuel pump control module. Probably going to be underneath the fuse block, but we don't know that for sure. The shop's going to have to dive more into that. So I hope you guys are doing well. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do let me know. I like to work with the comments on the YouTube. Pretty fun stuff. And remember, premium members, we have our meeting on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. You guys have a good evening. Bye-bye.